and welcome to another episode of Honest AF with me, Daniella Clarke.
And me, Barbaranne Wylde.
I almost had a brain fart right there. I almost went like,
forgot your name?
Yeah, who the hell am I?
That's great.
I was like, oh. Anyways, hi.
Hi, honey.
Oh my God, it's so good because we haven't even seen each other or talked since the wedding.
I know. I cannot believe it's been a week already.
Wedding was amazing. It was so beautiful. What a freaking magical place that was.
I love it there. It's really funny because Zach and I, more Zach even than me, but both of us are not really campers and it's not really our thing. And when we first got there and Zach hadn't seen the space, I had gone there with Jesse and Rihanna a year prior when they were thinking like, this is the place we want to have the wedding and we want you to see it and say what you think of it or whatever. And I knew what it was, and I had gone in the Airstreams and the campers and I thought this place is fantastic, but we had to like pack up. Zach kept saying to me, we rented an SUV and we had to like pack it up. And it was like a week prior for me, like gathering everything we needed. He's like, where are we going? That it's like, and I was like, it's kind of like a combination of a wedding and camping. So you have to have everything, and you don't really want to leave sight to keep going to the store every few minutes or whatever. Right. So we absolutely overpacked because we didn't touch 85% of the stuff that we brought, but it was so funny because after we unloaded the car and Zach was just like, I'll just drive the car up to our cabin. And I was like, oh, you can't. And we had to take these little wagons and keep unloading and loading the car.
Well, Zach unloaded my car.
He told me.
At like 11 o'clock at night.
It was so funny. I just took off my shoes and I laying in bed and you texted me, you're like, we're here. And I had your key. And Zach said, I guess I'm going out to give Daniella the key. I go, yes, that would be great. And he's like, because you're like completely undressed and ready for bed. And it was kind of cold at night.
Yeah,
and
it was
so
really
anyway,
cold.
so I know that he had helped you, but it was really funny because when we finally unloaded the SUV and we got in the place, I thought, oh, I can't wait to hear what he has to say about this whole thing. And he was like, this place is like unbelievable. It's
incredible,
peaceful and relaxing, and I mean just the desert, there's something special about it anyway.
There's something really special about the desert, but that spot in itself was so cool because okay, so for those of you listening, they got married in a trailer park,
yes,
right?
It's called Auto Camp,
and it's basically a trailer park of all these Airstreamers. I think there must have been like 60 something.
There had to be a lot because
like Airstreamers.
Our entire wedding party of 124 people, like I'd say 90% stayed.
Yeah.
So
it was the whole park was the wedding. And so we drove up kind of late because Gilby had some work to do first, so we couldn't go the day before like you guys did. So we came, and by the time we got there and we schlepped the dogs and me, Gilby, and the two dogs in the car and everything, we got there. It was like 11 o'clock at night. And Gilby goes, I'm going to take the dogs for a quick walk and you figure out where Barb is and get the key. And I go, okay. So then I ran into Zach and then he brought the wagon and helped me unload the car.
Like,
it was hilarious.
I know this drill.
It was just hilarious. And so we're dragging this wagon around going to the Airstreamer, but it was such a cool spot because the Airstreamers are one thing and they're so cool, but the fact that they have like that area where everybody can kind of congregate and have breakfast in the morning, and then they've got a heated pool, and then there were fire pits everywhere.
Yeah, and then they have that,
so beautiful.
That area where they were able to have the DJ and the dancing and like this full on. I mean, it was just set up so beautifully, and it was really truly had a little bit of the best of both worlds because you still got a little bit of that, a really nice, little commissary in there and like just breakfast and actually they had food too and the bar area. It was just, I don't know.
It was really nice, but it's very like it's not what you traditionally think of when you think of a trailer park. It was very, very what's the word I'm looking for? Like it had, you know, the Airstreamers all have everything you need in them. Yes, they have bathrooms and showers.
Amazingly well.
Yeah. And the food was really good in the restaurant.
Yes.
The food at the wedding was insanely good.
It was good.
It was delicious.
Cold, but that's not, hey, I'm only mother of the groom on this one, so I didn't have to get heavy with the wedding
thought
planners.
About it. How could they have brought the food out warm? It was outside and
they were cooking it right there, like right next to us. So yeah, I get it.
It was cold. It's outside. I mean, yeah, they had heat lamps everywhere, but you can't transport the food to 100 and something people.
Yes.
At night in the cold air and keep it warm.
It was so funny because Thursday was super warm and no wind. Friday was colder and it was a little windy, but the night of the wedding, from the ceremony forward, it was crazy, the wind. And then all of a sudden, in the middle, 3/4 of the reception, it just stopped and it was just beautiful again.
Beautiful. It was so pretty. And I actually think the little bit of wind added.
It did.
It added, like her veil was flying in the wind. It was beautiful.
It was pretty fantastic. I mean,
it really was. She was so stunning.
Oh my gosh.
And Jesse in that brown suit and their speeches, I didn't even know what to do with myself. I was bawling my eyes out. And the whole time, the minute I saw them walking down the aisle, I started bawling. And then they do their speeches to each other, their vows. And it just gutted me. And then I look over at you and I see tears going down your face and I'm just losing it.
It's so funny because I am so not a crier. And I mean, I'll definitely, like, there are moments of emotion, or like Jesse is very sensitive and he's like, he'll say certain things to me sometimes, or, you know, send me a text of a particular memory and he'll like make me cry. But I'm not a really big crier, like when you would think that I would. And it was so funny because right when we were lined up to walk down the aisle, Jesse had said to me, Mom, I think I'm going to be sick. And I go, okay. And I'm like, mother of the groom, and I'm thinking of my kid, and I'm like, okay, so are you going to be sick because you don't want to get married? I'm like right now is the time to tell me, love.
Mommy will take you back right now.
We can leave, you know. And I mean, I love and adore Rihanna, but
how could you not?
But as his mom, I was like, okay, so is the sick? Where is this? Where are these nerves? Is it nerves or like? And he looks at me and he goes, actually, Mom, and his best friend Eric officiated, so he said it to Eric and I.
He was funny,
and he's great. I mean, the family is amazing. The two boys, Eric and his brother, oh my God, Kyle, they're lovely. I just love them. But it was really funny because we both looked at Jesse and I was like, Jess, where do you think this is coming from? And he's like, to be honest, he goes, no, I know I want to marry Rihanna more than anything in the world. He goes, but what I'm really nervous about is I hope my vows are good enough. He goes, because Rihanna is going to like kill it like she always does. She's brilliant. And then as she was reading her vows, all I was thinking about was my poor kid, because she was literally gutting everybody. She really
got you where it hurts the most.
And I kept thinking to myself, oh no, poor Jesse's probably standing there going, I knew it. I'm going to throw up, you know? But his vows were lovely too, because they were so heartfelt and so sweet. And when he started speaking, like, and his voice cracked and he started speaking softer, I was just like, oh my God. And then, I mean, Zach and I knew Zach would be bawling. He's always crying for every reason. Every day there's a reason that makes him cry. He's a
sensitive guy.
I mean, when he throws food out to the crows every day and they take the food, he gets tears in his eyes because God. I mean, he has a connection to the damn crows on my property. So I knew he'd be crying. Yeah. I was not expecting to be crying. And everyone, I couldn't even make eye contact with anybody because I could just hear like sobbing everywhere. And I was just like, oh my God, I can't even take this.
It was so emotional and so beautiful. It was just beautiful to witness that kind of like deep love and commitment and respect for each other and admiration. It was really beautiful.
It was really, really
And you,
touching.
Miss Barbaranne Wylde, looked absolutely stunning.
Oh, thank
stunning.
you.
I loved
was a little
your
unsure.
hair.
I was a little unsure of the hair. I mean, I liked it.
I loved it.
As it got windier, I was more and more thankful for it because it was like I didn't have to think about it all night. It was just like the messier it got.
You look like a Viking vixen. You look
Zach
so
kept
good.
saying to me, "You look like my Viking bride."
Yes.
And he kept saying that to me, my Viking woman. I'm like,
with her skin tight dress, brown, beautiful. It was gorgeous. You just looked amazing. You looked like a dream when you walked down the aisle.
It was just such a, I mean, everything about it. I mean, it was very funny because there was the moment, which you know, of course, that the wedding planner
the rings.
She changed it up, and we had never met her. She sent her B team for the rehearsals and for all the prep, and then she came out the night of. She changed everything at the last moment, they did not bring the rings. And poor Sabbath, it was like his one role, and he was just like, Jamie the dog and my son Sabbath had no idea where the rings were, what was going on.
The plan was that they were going to walk down the aisle together.
Sabbath was supposed to go to the middle of the aisle and get Jamie on the leash, the dog.
Yeah.
And he had Rihanna's ring, and Sabbath had Jesse's ring, or vice versa. And then, that was Sabbath's role. And it was hysterical because Jamie was all the way out in the field. And I said to Sabbath, you got to go get Jamie now, thinking he was going to be like, we rehearsed it. And so Sabbath saw Jamie far away and just ran to the middle of the field. And poor Sabbath, he's like, what am I doing wrong? You told me to get Jamie. And I'm like, but it was so funny because the vows were so intense, and it was such a serious moment that all of us were so quiet that when it was like, we don't have the rings, Ozzy said to me yesterday when I saw him, he's like, I really thought the I don't have the rings was like part of Jesse being a joker, because Jesse's like Zach. He tells a lot of practical jokes and stuff. Yeah. So we thought, I mean, Ozzy said, I really thought it was like all scripted. And Ozzy was like, I did not think that was just like, I mean, it was a full moon, it was a lunar eclipse, it was like everything, everything that was working against us was also working for us. It was perfect.
It was so perfect. It was a really beautiful time. You guys, all of you, melted our hearts. It was so it was just absolutely perfect. It was gorgeous. I kept looking around going, how gorgeous is this? Like, how
everyone kept saying to me, did you guys
this?
plan this during the full moon? Because the sky, even all the wedding pictures that I've seen thus far, and mostly I haven't seen any from the professional photographer yet. They've mostly just been people sending us photos. But the full moon is in every shot because it was just open air in the middle of the sky. And of course, like, Rihanna's got my heart. She hired an astronomer, and we got to see Saturn with this super high powered telescope, and the moon, which was incredible, and Jupiter, and it was just so special. But it was my favorite part. I think a lot of people's favorite part, I think it was yours too, is when the dog just kind of made like, he literally just laid down and used Rihanna's long lace train as like his doggy bed. He just laid there, and it was so beautiful and perfect. And Zach was like, it's just like, this is our little family. Like, it was just like, we're complete now. It was just super special.
It honestly couldn't have been any more beautiful. It was really beautiful. And it was nice to see the Osbournes there too.
Yes. Ozzy is Jesse's godfather, and he just has this affinity and love for Jesse since Jesse was born. And I mean, we did it right one time, at least, there's a couple that we have 4 kids. We did it a couple times right, but Ozzy is the best godfather. He loves Jesse so much, and they have such a beautiful, very sweet to see relationship. And he was like, I don't care what I have to, because I kept trying to like give them an out, and then I was just like, It's very rustic. It's not, it's not, it's glamping, but it's not, what we traditionally think of like where the Osbournes would be staying. And, I kept saying to Ozzy, are you sure it's going to be Ozzy loved every minute of it.
Yeah, they loved it. Absolutely loved it. I sat with Sharon and Ozzy for a little bit too, and it was they were having a great time. I had a great conversation with them, and it was just fun to see them and catch up. Yeah,
because you get to see Sharon from time to time. Probably the last time was maybe when we did the podcast, or since then.
I don't remember actually. Every once in a while we run into each other, so I don't know, But it was such a lovely, lovely time. And, I have to say, I really liked the way the kids did their registry.
Oh, yeah.
Their online registry was so cool because rather than asking for like stuff for the house, because,
it's kind of boring.
Yeah. They didn't ask for like, vases and things like that. They basically just asked for things for their honeymoon.
Right.
Which I thought was so clever.
It's really cool.
I loved what they did, how they said, look, I know it seems impersonal to ask for money towards the honeymoon,
right,
but it'll help us have the dream honeymoon that we want. So we'd appreciate that the most.
Right.
But the things that they offered, which was really cool, was you can get them a swim up bar tab at the pool.
Right. They're going to Thailand and it's like a full on experience.
Yeah.
Like there were different experiences
and different things that you could contribute to. I loved that. I thought that was really modern.
Maybe we should, I have tons of stuff for Barb's Bag of Tricks, but I have to say that Zola website is fantastic.
It's great.
It makes it so incredible for the couple that are getting married.
Yeah.
Because,
is it just for weddings or is it for other things as well?
I've only used it for weddings, but I don't know if it's for other things because it would be great for, bridal showers, baby showers.
It's awesome because it has everything you needed. I just went on the website and I found out where we were staying. I found out what the itinerary was for when we were there. Everything was right there. And then of course the registry, which was awesome.
And it's really great for the bride and groom because it literally gives her a checklist of things that she or they're, having to do for where they're at, because you register with them and set up the website like a year prior. They started theirs when they did their engagement photos, when they announced their engagement, and they set up everything for you. So you really can't forget anything.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And it's really, I have to say, it made it so good for them. And it posts photos and it gives everybody who was at the wedding an opportunity to upload their photos. And it takes the guesswork out of all of it.
Yeah, it's really nice. So I have a little story for you though from that.
I can't wait to hear it.
From that experience. So, we brought the 2 dogs with us. And oh my God. By the way, they are so difficult to sleep with when you're in like that.
Oh, right. You're in such a close quarters.
Close quarters. And the bed is a lot smaller than what we have at home.
Yes.
And, Crocodile is, he's a beast. He's enormous.
Yes.
And so Crocodile and me and Gilby and not Frankie, me, Gilby and Sheena and Crocodile in one little bed. Oh my God. So the morning, I think it was the morning of the wedding. Yeah, it was the morning of the wedding. I had gone out, I was wearing
your PJs.
My PJs, my onesie.
So good.
I was wearing my onesie and Gilby's in his skivvies. And we go outside to take the dogs out to go to the bathroom and they were off leash. And all of a sudden, Sheena sees a roadrunner. And she goes taking off after this roadrunner.
Oh my goodness, that's so
and
funny.
She's running.
They're wicked.
They
could be nasty.
Well, that thing was fast.
Yeah.
I know when Wile E. Coyote was chasing it, it was very fast. But Sheena is so fast and she took off running and she's chasing the roadrunner.
That's hysterical.
And I'm chasing Sheena. Gilby's chasing me. Crocodile's chasing all of us.
I wish we had a camera for that.
Literally, the 5 of us with the Roadrunner, we're all in a line running.
That is great.
Booking it across the property, and they took us all the way to the end of the property.
I didn't even get that far down.
Oh my God, it's a massive property. We ran so fast because I didn't know that the property was fenced off. I didn't
know what goes beyond. So you're talking about like when you're all the way
at the very end. And I didn't realize because I didn't have my contacts in. I had just woken up.
Oh.
So I'm blind as a bat. And I'm chasing the dogs, and they're chasing this Roadrunner. And me and Gilby are literally in our skivvies. I was like, what a sight this must be. And we're running, and I'm like, I don't think there's a fence. I don't see a fence.
Oh, no. You probably were panicking.
And I was scared that she was going to run into like a street.
Road. Yeah.
But thank goodness the whole property was completely fenced in.
I had a feeling it was fenced in just because they have the gate to get in.
Yeah.
You know, like they have a full-on electronic gate. So I had a feeling it was fenced in, but I didn't go to the perimeter to see where it went to. But it literally, I mean, all the auto camps, there's I think 6 of them in the United States, and they're all the most spectacular places.
Brilliant.
I mean, there's
the lights at night, the twinkly lights,
so
and the fire pits, and the bar.
The one in Joshua Tree is literally less than a mile from the entrance to the national park.
Oh yes,
and it's just so good. I loved it there.
I loved it too.
All of us have been talking about when can we go back.
I know, it was really, really fun. Yeah. And in the morning after we had our escape artist Sheena going crazy. I mean, I got to tell you, we looked like a Benny Hill episode.
I was just thinking of it, and the music was playing in my head of them going around the
It was terrible. We were
building.
like half dressed. We were in our PJs.
It's so funny.
I can't see. And
that's hysterical because I was literally hearing the Benny Hill music and thinking about him going around and everyone chasing him.
It was so funny. Ridiculous. I was like, oh God, who is watching us right now and dying? And Gilby screaming at me the whole time, it's fenced in. I'm like, no, it's not. It's fenced in. I can see it. You can't.
When you get that panic.
Oh my, I was so panicked.
The dogs, every once in a while, because we live up on a dirt road and we are on top of a mountain, so I never know when you go past our curve down what they're going to encounter, if it's my neighbor's dogs.
Exactly.
We have so much wildlife all the time.
Yeah.
And it definitely, you get that, your heart just drops and you get that panic because you don't know what they're going to encounter. So
yeah, absolutely. But
oh my God, Roadrunners are nasty. If she would have cornered it, when we had first bought our property, which is the studio now, was a guest house, and we lived in the guest house for like 6 months while they were finishing up the main house. We had laid new floors and done a bunch of things, and a Roadrunner, the guy was laying the tile in what's now the studio, and a Roadrunner got into the house because he left the doors wide open while he was busy. You know, when they lay tile like that, they work from the furthest point in and work their way out, so they don't have to step on any of it. And he was working his way out, and so he had all the doors open, and a Roadrunner got in the house and cornered him.
Oh, wow.
And was like literally attacking him.
Really? Wow, that's crazy. I thought they'd be like adorable.
No,
you know?
they're far from adorable. They're actually wicked because then I read up on them because we have them all the time and they're very aggressive.
Oh, my goodness.
So she would have went right at it with him and it could have been a... Pardon?
There's a mosquito.
Oh, great. They love me.
Yeah. That morning, what Gilby and I did too was after the whole Roadrunner incident, we went into town.
Did you?
And we went to go get coffee or something, and then we ended up seeing that there was a farmer's market.
Oh,
so we
I saw that.
At the farmer's market.
Wanted to go there so badly.
It was so nice. And they have all these like really great like little vintage shops.
I know,
and things.
Great,
it was really fun.
It's so
I love
much
that
to
area.
Explore.
Yeah, it's a great area, and it's funny because today an article came out in what is it called? Shout Out.
Yeah. Shout out LA. Shout
Out LA, which is a magazine that did a feature on our show on Honest AF, and Barb and I both talk about, like, if we had a friend that came into town, where would we take them?
Right. If you have,
LA?
what is it, 48 hours or something in LA, or 24?
What would you do?
What would you do? Yeah.
Yeah. And I definitely would want them to go see Joshua Tree, although I don't.
Now.
Yeah. Now that I've been there, I would love to add that into the article. But we talked about taking them to Malibu and
Cross Creek, and
shopping, coffee at Alfred's Coffee,
totally,
and
Melrose,
eating on the pier in Malibu at is it called Malibu Cafe or Malibu Farms?
Malibu Farms, right? Oh no,
I always get them mixed up. One's Malibu Cafe and one's Malibu Farms.
Malibu Farms, I think, is the chain. I think you're right. I think it's the cafe.
Yeah, and it's on the pier. It's so yummy and it's beautiful. But anyway, so check out the article if you get a chance, because it's a nice little interview with Barb and I.
We'll post it too once we get the links. But I thought,
how does it feel to sit there and watch your kid get married? Is it like a mixed bag?
I think that when they get engaged is more of the realization that your kid's going to get married, for me.
Yeah.
And during when you have the wedding, you're so caught up. It's, our daughter got married in 2019, and now Jesse, a week ago. And I think that you're so caught up in the planning and the actual ceremony and wanting everyone to have a good time and just, dotting all the I's and crossing all the T's, that you're kind of caught up in it all. And it becomes less about the fact that your kid is making this huge life commitment than it is about the actual, right then and there present time. But what I will say it is bizarre is a little bit is afterward. And, you think about it and you go, wow, for us, we have 2 more, which hopefully won't be for 10 and 20 years. But it is a little bit of it makes you think you feel, I felt really good about the choices that both of my children have made.
Sure.
I love Kyle. He is an amazing husband and partner for Haley Ray. He's perfect yin to her yang. It's just perfect. They're very good together, and they're very best friends, which I think is so difficult. I don't think enough people, you and I have been asked so many times, what's the secret? And I don't necessarily believe that there are secrets. I think we're all individuals, and you can't really generalize that much. No. But I will say that one of the things that's necessary is that you really like the person you plan on spending the rest of your life with.
Yeah.
Being in love with someone and passionate about someone and lusting after someone is a lot easier, and I think it's more readily available, comes across your life path more than once for a lot of people. But to really have a friendship, which is going to really sustain you through all of those times in life, I think is more important than anything, really. Mm-hmm. And because at the end of the day, once the honeymoon period kind of subsides a little, in my opinion, you kind of get into a nicer place if you're with the right person. But you're going to end up on the couch or in bed watching TV with that person, and you better like them, And I think when I look at people that have gotten divorced, a lot of times it's they definitely, they might be swinging from chandeliers, and they might be really impassioned and have high highs and low lows, but they don't really like each other.
Yeah.
And both of my children have picked people that they are such incredible friends with, and they really like each other.
Yeah.
As in addition to all those other things, And I feel I know that my son Jesse puts a lot of pressure on himself now, even more, that he wants to have a beautiful life for he and Rihanna and Jamie, and for any future children that they may have. So I know that now he feels even more pressure to, really kill it with his career, and he married a very, a professional lawyer who is extremely motivated and great at what she does. So he's, feels like he has to rise to the occasion. And I don't know how I feel. I mean, I just want them to love themselves and love their life and not waste any minutes of this beautiful, perfect, like, body and life and shell that they've been given to waste on like all those. I just want it to be easy for them and happy.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I mean, I don't know. When you watch your kid get married, you just have to hope that they've made really good choices.
What is happening here?
And I've been in the presence of other parents that knew that their children were making mistakes while they were doing it, and that's got to be really tough.
Yeah. I would imagine that that's really hard, but you have to let them live their lives. I think you're a lot more evolved than I am, Barb. Because you gave such a beautiful answer that didn't even include your thoughts on how you feel. Because
you sound like my therapist.
It's all about me.
My therapist.
How do I feel about this marriage?
When I used to go to when I was in therapy, which I actually think everyone should do all the time, but when I was in therapy actively, the therapist would say to me at like 45 minutes into every hour session, maybe next week we'll talk about you. and you're, that's just my MO.
It's so true. You're like, what? I asked how you felt. But what I got was how you felt about how they feel. And
I don't know how I feel.
For me, I
would be an honest answer.
For me, just like sitting there, watching the whole thing go by, I kept thinking, like, I wonder how this feels for Barb and Zach, like at the end of the day, because that's your kid is now starting a family with someone else,
right? And
you're no longer the center of their universe,
right?
You're no longer as important as you used to be,
right?
It's now all about their family.
Yeah, absolutely.
And because I've been kind of going through that. I showed you my little sad face today when I showed you Frankie's empty room.
Yeah,
like the whole empty nest thing and the whole them moving on in their life really kind of puts into perspective like where we are now in our life,
right?
Because they're moving on. They're
I mean, maybe it's been a little different for me. One, because
you still
your
have
only child.
Yes, yeah.
And then the other reason is because once Haley Ray and Jesse went to college, they never moved home.
Yeah,
they never came back.
So you made
I kind of
peace
have
with that.
Yeah, and Hendrix and Sabbath were so little when they left for school that I didn't really have time to reflect on it, as much. I mean, I guess the way I feel is I feel happy and excited for them because I feel like they made really good choices.
Yeah.
So maybe
that makes sense.
Maybe
so
it
you're
makes
at
it
peace
a little,
with it. It's a lot easier. Let me just tell you something. I thought about it and I was like, they better call the novella film crew when Frankie gets married, because I will throw myself on the ground and scream like a baby.
This is going to end up. This is going to be like therapy sessions every week. When
my
that happens.
God! I don't even know what's going to happen to me. She has been like the center of my universe and my focus for so long.
You have to get more dogs. Every time we have a kid grow up and move out of the house, we get another dog. So maybe you'll just have to get new dogs.
I think that's the answer, because I have definitely become a hovering mom onto Sheena and Crocodile.
Yeah, right.
I'm dressing the dogs now. I don't know. I never saw that as me.
Cooking
ever.
for them.
Yeah.
All those things.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's a weird thing. It's like...
It's an interesting transition in your life, right? It's definitely a transition. It's kind of like... it's a rite of passage. It's, it's monumental,
Yeah, it's weird. So, I mean, I think it's going to be a very weird, different thing for me too, to see my children as parents.
Oh my gosh, that is really going to be
Sharon
something else.
Sharon and I were talking about that yesterday, and Kelly is just incredible
her
mom.
baby is so cute.
Oh, he's gorgeous. Happy first birthday, Sid.
He's adorable.
He's beautiful. But she is just this incredible mother.
Of course she named him Sid.
She had to
So
because
cute.
her baby's daddy, Sid, her partner, who is they're together and they have this beautiful baby. He is Sid. And I think he told us yesterday he's the third. So there's a senior, a junior.
Yeah.
So Kelly kind of felt she really loves his family, and she felt like she had to name him.
He's so cute.
You know, he's the first baby, and he's a boy, and so how do you not follow that kind of tradition? That would be really hard for me and Zach, because Zach and I are not into the senior, junior, all of that thing.
Well, how about now there's a new Mrs. Wylde too.
Oh, well, I touched on that in my speech.
I love that speech. You did so good.
Oh, thank you.
By the way, Barb always is like, I can't do that. That makes me nervous. I don't know if I can do that. And then she goes in and she hits it out of the park.
Oh, thank you. It was funny because when Zach and I renewed our vows, which you were there in Las Vegas believe it or not, that was 2018. It's already 5 years ago.
That is so weird.
It was going to be 6 years ago in January.
That's
or
weird.
February.
That is so crazy.
Time flies, right?
And well, Haley Ray said that her wedding was
4 years ago.
4 years ago already, which is insane.
Isn't that crazy?
I can't believe how fast everything goes.
I think it's so weird because
I
with
could have sworn
COVID,
her wedding was like a year ago.
we all lost 2 years of our life.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when you think of it, she was married literally the October before the March pandemic.
It's crazy.
So it was just like, 2 years went by and it was like, none of us know what even happened to those 2 years of our life. But I will say that it was crazy because I knew that when we renewed our vows, I was memorizing the vows that I wanted to make to Zach, and I missed an entire sentence of it, which was really important to what I was saying. And then I realized that everyone looks at their phones or a piece of paper and they could read their vows. So I knew when I was doing the speech for Jesse and Rihanna, I'm like, at least I'm going to read it. So hopefully I won't screw it up and miss a line of reading it. But I had written it because it was so cool. Rihanna's sister was her maid of honor, and she did something which I thought was so fabulous. Everyone who was giving a speech, and you weren't there for the rehearsals the morning before, but Friday morning we did rehearsals because she wanted to do the rehearsals before everyone arrived, the guests. And so it was just the wedding party. And as we were having brunch together after the rehearsals, the entire bridal party, each one of the groomsmen and the bridesmaids and bridesmen gave a speech.
Oh,
and
nice.
So Janelle, Rihanna's sister, she had us all text her or email her our speeches so that she could make a hardbound book for Jesse and Rihanna.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So that they could be in the moment and listen, but not forget what was said.
Oh,
and
that's
I thought
so
it was
gorgeous.
so beautiful and so smart.
Yeah.
So I had written it like a week prior, and so I kind of knew what I was going to say, but it was just very funny because Rihanna is very sassy AF, like I said in my speech, and she was extremely sassy the very first night I met her. And just to kind of say it really quick, I had met Rihanna for the very first time at Zach's 50th birthday party, and Jesse said to me, "Mom, you want to come meet my wife?" And I was like, and I just, rolled my eyes and was like, okay. And so I went over with him to meet Rihanna, and she had long pink hair at the time, and she's drop dead gorgeous.
Yes.
And I walked over to her and she goes, "Hi, I'm Mrs. Wylde." And I looked at her and I was like, there's only one Mrs. Wylde here tonight. That would be me. And I had said that in the speech.
Yeah,
and it was just very funny because I've always busted her chops a little bit about saying that because now there is a second Mrs. Wylde, so
it's so
pretty
cute.
funny.
I love that. It was funny because when Gilby and I first got married and we went for our honeymoon, we checked into the hotel. It was right after our wedding. We checked into this hotel in Santa Monica, and the phone rang, and the person on the other line said, "Hi, may I speak with Mrs. Clarke, please?" So I said, "Oh, hold on a second." And I went and got Gilby and I go, "Someone's asking for your mom."
It does take a minute, right?
It takes a minute to register. I go, "Someone's asking for your mom." And he goes, "What? Why would they ask for my mom?" And I go, "Well, they asked for Mrs. Clarke." He goes, "That's you, dummy."
Isn't it funny when the first time you're like Gilby introduced you to someone as his wife?
Yeah.
Or like the first time I introduced Zach to someone, like, "This is my husband." It's such a weird thing to say. It's so bizarre. I mean, Rihanna was loving every minute of that instantly. Yeah. She's like, "This, this is a picture of me and my husband." She was like loving really every minute of it. It was very cute.
Oh my, I loved it.
Jesse's been calling her his wifey for like, I don't even know, 3 of the last 4 years. So they're just really, I don't know.
It was really special.
We're still all a little bit high from the whole thing.
For sure. And I just, thank you for inviting me. It was really so beautiful to be there and witness it.
It was one thing I was able to say to Jesse, and I don't think this is true about a lot of weddings, and he actually said it when he made a little speech, but that every single person, except for maybe one, of the 124 people that were there were people that know them and love them and that they love. It was, but they're both social butterflies.
Who was the one?
I can't say. I'll have to tell you off mic. But
who was the one?
I will say, like, all of the people there that on Jesse's side were my and Zach's chosen family. Yeah. We really didn't have any real family there. Yeah. Blood family. I consider you my family, and all of my Zach's and my nearest and dearest that Jesse, Haley Ray Hendricks, and Sabbath call auntie and uncle. Most of them are not blood related, but hey, I still think one day down the line with 23andMe or Ancestry, you and I are going to find out we're related somehow. I know it's going to happen. I'm just waiting.
Okay, Barb, I have an update for you on that.
Oh no, you have another sibling.
No, check this out. This is really crazy. So I went on 23andMe. And you can like tick a button that says, do you want to find out who else you're related to?
Yes.
And I realized I hadn't ticked it. So I ticked it just to see. Barb.
What?
1,500 people showed up.
Oh my goodness. I'm telling you, as they go through people. Did you let them save your sample?
I don't know.
You have to check that box too. Go in your little account and see if you've chosen that, because if you let them keep your sample, as the technology evolves and every year it just gets more and more
they can give you more information.
They will, and there'll be more and more people that you'll find as more people do it that you're related to. And now they've gotten so, like when I did it years ago, they weren't even able to tell you how you were related. Now they're able to tell you that it's in this portion of your paternal DNA.
Yeah.
It's very specific now.
It's crazy. So there's a list of 1,500 people that I'm related to.
Unbelievable.
And so I want to go through it and see if I'm related to you somehow.
I honestly believe that we're going to find out at some point that we are, because we found out that our nationalities are almost mirrored.
Yeah, it's so weird.
It's really crazy.
But so that was.
And
really
without
funny.
knowing who my bio dad is, which I'm hoping at some point I know who of him and I know who he is now, but I can't get a definitive information. My mom always seemed to date and be really enamored or fall in love with men who were, 10 to 15 to 20 years older than her. So I'm sure that my biological father was born in the turn of the century. So I'm sure he wasn't he didn't give his DNA to 23andMe or Ancestry, but I'm hoping at some point I'll figure it out. It'll come as someone first degree relative will come to me. But it's really super interesting. And it's so legitimate because my nieces and nephews, who I did not even know were doing it, have come up as the level of relationship as a half sibling or first cousin. That's the same quadrant of DNA that you have when you have that level of relationship. And it's all through my mother, and it comes right up that they put us together, and not because of a tree, not because of sharing any information. Our DNA's matched.
Right.
It's really cool.
Yeah, it's super cool. So anyways, should we do a Barb's Bag of Tricks?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that I want to give a shout out to that Zola.com because that is fantastic.
Oh, and I have a Flix AF.
Oh, please, let's do it.
Okay. So I have a Flix AF. Last night,
Yes.
I went to go see Priscilla.
You know, I want to see that.
I have been dying to go see it because, first of all, I really like Sofia Coppola's films. I think she just does such a tasteful job with these films. Like, I loved Virgin Suicides.
Yes.
I loved
She's so
Lost
good.
in Translation and the Marie Antoinette movie. So I was really excited to see this, and I asked Frankie if she wanted to go see it with me. And it's a movie about Priscilla Presley.
Yes,
and it's based on her book called Priscilla, Elvis and Me.
Elvis and Me, right?
And it's based on her book, and it is supposed to be her relationship with Elvis told from her perspective.
Right.
So I was really, really excited to go see it. And it's about 2 hours, a little less than 2 hours long.
Okay.
And
which is perfect for you.
Yes, exactly. Because I get fidgety. But I didn't like it.
You didn't?
I wanted to like it.
Did you think it was too dark?
No, I wanted to like it so much. I was so excited about, just that. I love that time period.
Yes.
I love the music. I love I was looking forward to the costumes, the fashion, the sets. And the sets were amazing. Like, a lot of it takes place in, Graceland.
Yes.
And so the set was beautiful and, just that time period alone. But, they never used any of Elvis's songs.
Oh,
not one of them. And I looked it up afterwards because I was curious as to why not.
Yeah.
And apparently they did not get the rights, that they were refused the rights for the songs in the movie, which is interesting because the executive producer of the movie is Priscilla.
Yes.
So I thought, well, that's really odd.
Did Lisa Marie and her estate owns all the rights?
Yes. And she did not approve it because apparently she didn't really like the movie. That she had read the script. She hadn't seen the movie because they started filming it